The Winnipeg Colonels fastball team is the next team to be inducted. In a time when fast-pitch softball, or fastball, was the top of baseball and softball world in Manitoba and Canada and in Winnipeg, the Colonels organization was the pinnacle for ball players to strive for. They did preseason training in Arizona. In the spring, they had a nucleus of the best ball players in the province, competed in cities across Western Canada in the Western Major Fastball League. That was heralded as the top fastball league in Canada and perhaps the world. It had a world-class group of business people running the organization. Games were broadcast on local radio. The newspapers covered the games extensively, and they would interview players and coaches post-game. The Winnipeg Colonels organization was not content simply having the best players from Manitoba. The executive of the team was making an effort to be nationwide, going around the globe to bring the best players from across Canada, the United States, and even New Zealand to the province. Before the present version of the Winnipeg Goldeyes came to be, the Winnipeg Colonels at their home games in the 1970s and into the early 80s in Winnipeg at Charlie Krupp Stadium. Charlie Krupp Stadium is now where McPhillips Street Station Casino now stands. To compensate, the WMFL meant long-distance bus rides away from home. The league boasted teams in cities throughout Western Canada. Traveling to games was, well, at the least a little bit difficult, going city to city. Brandon, Weyburn, Regina, Saskatoon, Calgary, Wetaskiwin, Red Deer, Camrose, and Edmonton. Through the years, the Winnipeg Colonels represented their city well by winning the 2 Eastern Division pennants in 1976 and 1978. In 1980, when the Winnipeg Colonels were deemed eligible to represent the province, they won the provincial championship without losing a game and went to the national championships where they had a perfect 4-0 record in the round robin portion of the tournament. The team missed out on medal competition after a close loss that ended their tournament run. The Winnipeg Colonels Fastball Club is an inductee into the Manitoba Softball Hall of Fame 2020 in the team category. We now call on Reid Birss to say a few words, and then we'll call up the players.
And I promise to keep it short. I'd like to say good evening to all the softball fans out there. On behalf of the Winnipeg Colonels, I'd like to thank the organizing committee for hosting this event, and thanks to the Manitoba Softball Hall of Fame for accepting our nomination, and to Larry Dewis who did all the work to put that nomination together. Our congratulations to the teams and individuals who are being inducted this evening, and thanks to all the Colonels who made the trek out here tonight. And I just want to acknowledge those who traveled beyond our Manitoba borders. Ron Gustafson, Tucson, Arizona. Dave LaFrance from Calgary, Alberta. The Sekundiak clan from Yorkton, Saskatchewan, representing Dan. And Terry Ridley from Swift-Herne, Saskatchewan. I'd like to just take a few seconds to remember those who have passed. Coach Field Manager Shorty Lowen, Coach Grant Riddell, Executive Members Bob York, Joe Schmelnitsky, Trainer Doc Steen, and the following players: Dan Sekundiak, Bob Turner, Ron Taylor, Phil Vanette, Ralph Wilson, and Ken Magura on April 29th, just recently. I'm going to speak a little bit about the league. The Western Major Fastball League began in 1973 with 5 teams in 3 provinces, the first professional league in Canada. After 3 years, changes were necessary as attendance had dwindled, and like in any league, travel costs are a killer. Expansion was the answer, as the league was down to 4 teams. After receiving several applications, the expansion was cropped down to 8 teams in 2 divisions with an interlocking 40-game schedule. Now I know why I couldn't see anything. Betty, you're supposed to keep me sharp out here. Anyway, look at this. All right, 40-game schedule, and the new franchises were close enough together to permit midweek games. The results being better attendance, which is usually the case in smaller cities, and much reduced travel costs. The divisions were as follows: Wetaskiwin, Camrose, Edmonton, and Calgary in the west, Winnipeg, Regina, Saskatoon, Weyburn in the east. Further expansion in 77, Brandon came into the league and was in it until 78. Red Deer replaced Calgary and was there until 1980. The league operated till 1980 after an 8-year run as a professional league when the CASA reinstated the players their amateur status, and we were allowed to participate in sanctioned tournaments and championships. It was a transition year for the Western Major Fastball League and would as well be for the Winnipeg Colonels, or as Larry Dewis likes to call them, Colonels 2. There would be a new coach, with only 6 veterans returning, the result being 9 roster spots open. Any player with the ability and the desire to play in Manitoba's best team in the best league against the top players in Canada, this was it. When training camp ended, there were 8 rookies and 1 returning veteran pitcher, Ralph Enns, who will be with the team for 5 years. The 8 rookies consisted of 5 position players and 3 pitchers: Jim Nicholson for 2 years, Ralph Wilson, and the Pride of Red Lake, Phil Vanette, for 3 years. We opened our season in Weyburn. No one really knew what to expect. We all had a bit of the jitters, but nothing like our fearless leader, Shorty Lohan. The plate umpire signaled for our lineup card. No Shorty. So Grant Skinner went looking, found him up behind our dugout. His pre-game meal didn't seem to have agreed with him. I was in the on-deck circle, and when he went past me, he sounded like a cat with a giant hairball as he dry-heaved his way all the way to home plate. Rumor has it, he dropped off more than the lineup card at the plate. That's not a rumor. We had a successful road trip. We came home 4-2, and Shorty in good health. Our winning ways continued that year. We went 29 wins, 11 losses. The 11 losses established the Western Major Fastball League, which was which was never broken. Camrose defeated us 5-2 in the league final. From 1977 to 1980, it saw the Colonel management recruit 16 position players, a new assistant coach in Ron Witkowski, along with pitchers Bob Edgar, back for a second go, George Archibald, the Kiwi Jimmy Fowler, Kenny Peters, back for a second go, Brian Pallister, and Larry Elson from Ontario. With Jim's arrival and dominating pitching performance in 78, we thought it was our year, only to have the Red Deer Corvettes and the legendary Pete Landers end our run and go on to win the league championship. In 77, we played in the IC World Tourney in Phoenix, Arizona, finishing a respectable 2-2, and in 79 was our first World Series of Fastball appearance. Well, we were eliminated in the semifinals, and I gotta be truthful here because the guys are sitting out there know this. Actually, we were disqualified because of a 30-minute bench clearing brawl. Our WMFL one-loss record over the 5 years was 135 wins, 73 losses, and a winning percentage of .650, bettered or equaled only by the Camrose Merchants. At the beginning of the 1980 season, Harry and Artie brought on 2 new executive members, Rennie Peru and Paul Shimnowski. In July, we had our amateur status reinstated. We're now able to play in CASA sanctioned tourneys. We hosted the Canadian national team, which was touring at the time, and we played them to a 1-1 tie at Charlie Krupp. We won the Eugene Home Classic in Fargo, North Dakota, defeating Cedar Rapids, Iowa, the number 2 ranked team in the U.S. at the time, in the opening game. And as Gus and I talked about it tonight when we went to the park, we were told, you guys may not, you don't even show up because you got no chance. Well, so we beat them in the first game, and then went on undefeated in the next 5 games against some of the top teams in the Midwest U.S. And as stated in the bio, we went undefeated in the provincials that year, onto the nationals in Saskatoon, won the round robin, finished 4th overall, eliminated in the medal round on a controversial leadoff call. It cost us a 1-0 victory and a medal. Sorry about you umpires out there, but the umpire from the Northwest Territories couldn't believe what we already knew. Ron Gustafson was that fast. In September, we lost the 1980. We lost the league final to Camrose, playing the last game for the Winnipeg Colonels in the last game of the Western Major Fastball League. During those years, 4 players who honed their skills with Colonels 2 and went on to represent Canada internationally. Grant Skinner, who won a gold medal with Canada in '83 in the Pan Am Games. Ron Gustafson, Larry Skinner, and the pride of Pine Falls, Dave LaFrance. At this time, I would like to thank the sponsors and the volunteers and the executive members, because without them, things just don't work. But I want to call up Harry Buchert and Art Penner, because without these 2 guys, there would be no Winnipeg Colonels, no Western Major Fastball League, and 76 to 80 wouldn't happen. Harry, Artie, come on up, take a bow. Okay, all you ex-Winnipeg Colonels out there, put your hands together for these 2 guys right now. Harry, get over here. You did one. Oh no, I want a free drink after that. Oh, okay, thank you.
Yep, you betcha. Thank you.
One more time, nice round of applause for the Winnipeg Colonels.